Roll it again.
Repent, and thou shalt be saved.
Welcome.
Welcome back
Radio
to Alethea Radio.
Nice to see you all on this fine Wednesday night. We're coming to you live from Alethea Radio Studios to give you tonight's introductory. What is it? Introduction to
Building up and tearing down.
Uplifting and correction. What effects does it have on us?
Yeah.
Does it have an effect on us? Are we affected?
I am definitely affected.
I am affected tonight.
I've been torn down.
And built back.
I've fallen and I can't get up.
Every time.
Yeah, welcome back, people.
So nice.
Yeah,
so nice to see you.
Support us. Check us out on Spotify, YouTube. Go to our Facebook page. Send us a like. We'd like to do this all the
Apple
time.
Podcasts,
Yep.
Spotify. Yeah, if you didn't say that already.
Yeah.
Don't forget Facebook, Instagram at Alethea Radio, ALETHEIA. Don't forget the EIA at the end. It's very important. Alethea Studios. You can check that out too.
Yeah.
We're going to be dumping a whole bunch of stuff down there.
Yep.
Got some nice stuff coming up in the next couple of weeks for you too, which I think is awesome.
Yeah.
And
So tonight is your night.
It's your night.
Yeah. So I think we should first get into something
Current. Welcome to Alethea Radio's News at 8. I am your host, Storm Underwear. I don't know what name to do now.
Marty Porknuckle.
Here with Marty Porknuckle, giving you the weather, the traffic, and of course the political drama.
Yeah. Where we are.
Yes. So, so there's some new stuff. Big boy Joe.
Big boy Joe
Biden. He's changing people's lives and taking people's documents.
They're mine.
They're mine. He had him next to a couple of cones. So apparently Joe Biden got caught with some classified documents, or things that he couldn't have classified because they were from his vice presidency days. And and they just showed up, and now they found a second and third stash of them. Apparently they were in his Delaware home in the garage.
Right, if they were safe.
They were safe right next to
old
it.
Betsy.
Yeah, so they said they were stumbling and bumbling, going around, not getting their timeline right. They just showed a graphic that says an unknown number of documents found in Biden's garage. Joe Scarborough, a former Republican congressman. No more unknown, no more unknown. At this stage, we're in 2 months. We need to clean this up. Amateur hour is over. The Republicans are mad at this. You know why? Because this is just what he was accusing Donald Trump of. He says was so egregious.
Yeah, I think the big difference is you were vice president.
You were vice president. You can't declassify things as a vice president.
Yeah, I'm not even sure what happened with that. I mean, I don't think
nothing happened.
Nothing happened.
Because there was nothing there that was worthy of anything.
Yeah.
The White House acknowledged on Saturday that five more classified records were found at the president's Wilmington estate, bringing the total of documents discovered last week alone at the residence to 6. Other sensitive documents were located in the home's garage last month at the Penn Biden Center think tank in Washington on November 2nd. Yeah, so he had some stuff.
You know what's crazy? It's just like, you think that we have all this technology and everything, like, wouldn't they have a better filing system, like a library? Like, you check it out, you check these documents out. It's like they haven't been.
What
here
happened
in a
to
while.
data processing?
Yeah, like where are these documents? I don't care who it is, whether it's Biden, Trump, or it's like, hey, you took these like on Thursday. You get the late notice from the library, like you booked late, you're getting charged.
But for some reason, the White House doesn't have that.
Yeah,
it's amazing.
It's amazing.
It's like, okay, you're checking it out. Hold on, let me just making a copy.
Yeah,
you don't have Xerox machines at the White House?
On.
Like they're not there.
Yeah.
Like and what's the deal with the documents? I don't get it.
And the other thing is like how did they know? Like all of a sudden the lawyers just happened to be going through his house and
he's like, oh, look at this one.
I'm sure he didn't know.
It's got aliens in it. I'm gonna take this home and
They actually pulled up I think it
Show
was
to
from
Jill.
I think it was from maybe the New York Post, but they had back in like 2020 when he was running for president, they had a picture of his car on the front page, and if you look real close, the documents are in boxes right in the back. They're like documents falling
and he's
over
like
in the
this.
back.
And he's like,
He wasn't in the picture; it was just a picture of his garage, and people like point out like it's
That's the documents
that's the
right there.
documents right in the box.
I didn't want to bring it back. I got ice cream on it. Sorry. I was too busy
There's supposed to be like a room. I forget the name of it's called.
changing people's lives.
Yeah, there's supposed to be like a room that is created, especially for whether it's the president, vice president, or even I think the Speaker of the House, where when there's a crisis or something happens, you're at your home. You need a place to go to have. To have something that's secure where you can whether it be on a phone or read documents or whatever. But I think it's a skiff. It's called. I think that's what it's called, a skiff.
There's a skiff, there's a piff, there's a jiff. I don't know what any of those things are.
Yeah, but I think that's what it is, and it's supposed to be like a safe area for the documents for them. But I don't think he had one. Actually, Trump wanted one in the Florida place, but they denied it. So.
Oh yeah. Like, sorry, you can't do that.
Yep.
But everybody else can. That's all right. It's all right with me. Yeah. So I mean, also there was something that happened in DC recently. So they did the zero policy things for school with grades and stuff like that. If anybody is unaware of that, what that means is they created this equity plans where no one fails.
Yeah, I was right. SCIF, a sensitive compartmentative information facility. So it's made for like presidents, and they build it in the house so that
it's already gone out of my head right after you said it.
Yeah, it's where they have to like wherever they are can go into like command center, like a command center.
Wow.
Yeah.
There's a whole bunch of technicalities involved with that. So in the DC school that this happened in, we just danced around. You have to bear with us. But so they had this nobody fails program. So what that means is basically no matter what you do, you can't fail. Yeah. Which I think is destructive and damaging to a child.
That's equity, right?
Yeah, that's the equity version of school right there, is that no child fails. Like, well, I want to feel bad. I don't want the child to be left behind. Well, what are you teaching the child by telling him he can't fail?
If you don't fall, you won't know how to get up.
Exactly.
I learned that this weekend when I went skiing.
And he fell.
And I fell and fell.
And he couldn't. He was
after a few times getting up, you can't get up anymore.
I'm going to buy him a life alert necklace for. He seems like hello.
One of those Apple locators.
Yeah. Yeah. Those things are pretty wild.
Yeah.
Let's talk about that for a minute. Okay. So what are they called again? The Apple.
I don't know. It's
like.
Yeah,
somebody was just telling me about them. So it's a locator. You could put it anywhere and track it with your phone. So if you want to spy on somebody,
it's an air tag.
Yeah. You can. It's like a skin tag, but in the air.
I don't know if that's what it is, bro.
So you take it. It's like a little disc. It has an apple on it.
What's that on your skin? It's an air tag.
They have dog tags too. You can get them for your dogs, and you could.
Yeah, no, actually, I was thinking about getting one for Bentley. Not like he's going to run away or nothing, but I thought that was pretty cool. Like you can actually sit it on him. Like, hey, if he did get out the door,
this is bad because
people put it in their luggage. Nowadays.
It's like all those destructive, violently narcissistic freestyle guys back in the day when it comes to their girlfriends and stuff. Like, oh, I could track her now. Yeah, I could track her. Girl, where you go, I'ma follow you everywhere you go. Go slow or go fast, cause you don't know that I'm tracking. You can't see me. I'm in the bushes following. I'm real creepy.
I don't know how I just pulled that up real quick.
It's so creepy though, man. Yeah. Like you meet a girl at you could meet someone out, drop one of these air tags on them and follow them.
Yeah,
not cool.
Yeah, I seen a
like 3 for $100. They're expensive, but not that expensive if you're.
I seen a news story.
And you want to use
a young man had it in his backpack, tracked it to somebody's house, and called the cops. And the cops actually knocked on the door, was like, "Hey, have you seen this bag?"
Well, that's a win. Yeah.
And they're not allowed to go in the house. Whatever. The guy was like, "No, you can't do it." Whatever. They just went around to the side, saw a garbage pail, and in the garbage pail was pocketbooks and wallets.
Wow.
In this guy's car. So they were like, "Hey, we got reason to search. Yeah, there's all these pocketbooks and wallets," and it was all because the kid put an AirTag in his backpack.
I would have been like, you see that? You got AirTags, buddy.
Yeah.
We should do a show. You got tags.
You got
We just put AirTags in people and just find out where they
go.
Because
Yeah.
you can do that now. Because now you can just buy them on Amazon, and that's a problem.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, man. Like
It's good for the airlines because
your luggage is important.
yeah, I think I saw a story yesterday. My wife was telling me because we were
And then now
planning a trip.
you know what's crazy about those AirTags is that somebody else with an Apple device can't track yours.
Right.
So like they don't even know they're being tracked. Like
No,
you can't be like
it's only
scan
from
for
your. It's like
AirTags.
you'll find your phone. Nobody can
Exactly.
choose your phone to do it.
And it has like a crazy range on it because it uses satellites. You could track. Yeah, my friend had one. He's like, yeah, man, I got it in my car. I'm 1,000 miles away from my house, and it's telling me that it's where my car is right now.
Yeah. So Kimmy was
That's wild.
reading a story about a woman just got her luggage back from 4 years ago.
How?
Yeah, it just got lost.
That's what my wife tells me. Don't put your medicine in your luggage.
Yeah.
Keep in your carry on. I'm like, wow, because I put it in my luggage.
Yeah,
I'm like,
you get lost.
like that's bad. Like,
Don't worry, we'll find you.
don't worry, and we gonna find you. Yeah. So
What else you got?
Anything
What else
else?
we got? So you're talking about the equity where you
with the schools. Yeah. So
schools.
I just think it's super destructive.
Everybody's a winner.
We're bouncing everywhere.
Yeah.
I just think it is super destructive that you tell a kid that they can't fail. Failure is important. Failure is absolutely necessary. Having a child learn to process failure in the worst parts of his life is a necessary thing because that tells you how to overcome difficulties in life. Like that's one of the things that the Bible preaches on the most is that you are going to have hard times. Matter of fact, the Bible is going to guarantee you hard times, and but you have an outlet to get through that.
Yeah,
Absolutely. And what is that outlet? The outlet is the knowledge of how to properly handle that through the Word of God, which should be where we go to for these things. And I just think it's interesting. So on the topic of excuse me, on the topic of encouragement and uplifting versus correction and stuff like that, why is it difficult for a child to get correction now?
right.
Like, what's wrong with correction? I thought correction has the answer in the Word.
And what some teachers and parents do, they try to get it so you don't need to be corrected. If you just stay in this lane, you don't need to be corrected. You won't fall. You won't get hurt. You won't lose because we're all winners. And
And we're not.
no, definitely not. And what happens is, we take these kids and even young adults, and they get surrounded by their own four walls, and then they come out in the world and actually have a failure, and it's so devastating to them.
This is such a great segue into what I didn't even. This wasn't planned.
No.
This is how we get down.
We
This is
don't-
how you know
we
the
don't plan
spirit-
anything.
The spirit's moving. So the word critique comes up here too, which I think is interesting. So we're talking about uplifting, and now instead
Yeah.
of criticizing, it's critiquing. Now you can't even critique kids without making it seem like why is there no such thing as an objective right?
I don't know
and
about you. I
wrong?
remember when I went to school, like if you did something stupid, your teacher would be like, that was the stupidest thing I've ever heard.
It's like, should I write your name on the board as stupid?
Yeah.
Like kids, teachers held nothing back.
I had this one teacher, this one science teacher. He was big thing was like, "Are you an idiot?" He'd always say that.
Yeah.
You an idiot? Like imagine if a teacher was like,
Oh, like you called my son
and
an idiot?
we were like, you just called him an idiot.
I can't believe you would call someone. How dare you? You know what? Oh no, I feel like an idiot now. It's
And
his
if I went
fault.
home and I'd be like, "Yo, Dad, this guy called me an idiot," he was like, "'Cause you are."
Yeah.
You idiot.
Well, why were you acting like an idiot? You dang idiot. You know? Like, you know what? Like, my
I think we turned out okay.
yeah, I mean, we should have turned out a lot worse. There was potential for worse there.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you know what's crazy? And we did that with very minimal uplifting. Trust me.
Yeah.
There wasn't much uplifting where we come from. And I'm not saying, I think I just feel like uplifting is something you have to practice a lot generationally.
Yeah, because it's easy to tear down.
So easy.
So easy. Because I think that's one of the things that comes natural to us is we'd rather see, like, that's why when somebody gets hurt, you always laugh, right?
Every time.
I mean,
I'm the worst with that.
I mean, why? Why is that?
It's hysterical. That's why.
But instead of you okay, you just start laughing
every time.
I don't get it.
Don't hit your head around me.
Yeah, I don't understand. Don't get hurt.
But you know what? I think tearing people down feels so good because that's a false uplifting to us,
right?
To our ego.
Yeah.
I think it's very easy to be like, all right, well,
because we could do it easy for ourselves. We tear ourselves down.
Like, why do you know? Yeah. Tell me about it.
Yeah,
I do that all the time. I'm like, oh, I'm such an idiot. And
especially when you make a
that.
mistake. Yeah, especially when you make a mistake. You lose it. You lose it when you make a mistake.
I'm like, oh, I hate making mistakes. I'm
Yeah.
like, why? I'm so perfect. Why am I making mistakes? Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Yeah, but that's the whole thing. Like, so now couple a good tear down of yourself with somebody else ripping you down for something. Are you going to feel motivated to continue doing it? No, you're not.
A little bit of a cup of tear down.
So like correction and critique as a different word for tearing people down. It now illustrates a totally different approach.
It's the same word, really. Critiquing and criticizing is similar.
Yeah, it's just a cue.
But it's true. It's like it's
that's it.
And I think correction is big. So in the Christian worldview, I mean, we need to correct one another, especially when it comes to theology.
Oh yeah, I've got an amazing my favorite one of my favorite Bible verses about correction. I just want to make sure I got this right here. All right, so Proverbs 23:13. Yeah. Do not hold back discipline from the child. Although you strike him with the rod, he will not die.
Yeah, right. But it's true. It's true. I think it's looking at the drastic part of it, but it is true. Like, it's kind of like that fear.
I really have to look at what the rod of correction is categorized in the Bible.
I used to have one in my house. It was like this long. It was about that wide, and it hung right above the bathroom door.
And
so it was like, if I got in trouble, it was like, all right, go wait for me in the bathroom.
My dad just gave it to me by hand. You know what's funny though? I don't, I remember being upset that I got hit, but I never grew up like mad, like, how could you hit me?
Yeah, this is going to hurt me
more
than it hurts you.
Yeah, no, it's actually going to hurt me.
No, it's going to hurt me a lot. My dad actually did it a few times, like, did that. And the one time he sent me in there, and I put on like 7 pairs of underwear. I put like 7 pairs of underwear. And he's like, away from me. I put 7 pairs of underwear. I put some toilet paper. I put stuff in there. And I put like this comic book that I had, wrapped around.
He couldn't tell. There's no way he was find out. How would they know?
Yeah, no.
They'd never know.
He was like, and then everything just fell out. And he's like, and he told me, he's like, at that moment, I was like, you know what? Maybe I'm going a little too hard on the kid.
All right, Dad, I'm ready for my whooping. when did you get butt shots? What is that? Like my dad, he just used his hand.
Oh yeah, it came to that.
Wow, my dad would always catch that soft spot in the back of your leg.
Oh yeah.
And you'd always overreact because you're a kid. You'd be like,
I do that. I give a little upside the head. Like, what did you just say?
That's it. Sometimes you got to get it, pap. But I don't remember growing up like hating my father for doing it, or my mom. My mom did it too.
No,
my dad.
Well, he told me he loved me more. He's like, this is gonna hurt me more than it hurts you. Just know I love you. Bam, bam, bam.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
Yeah.
But one thing it did teach you is that there's consequences for your actions. And there's consequences.
And listen, the fear of my father's discipline got me out of a lot of bad situations.
Oh, yeah.
I was like, okay, do I want to, if I get caught and I catch one, is it really worth, guys, I think I'm just going to go home.
So that's interesting. So you can actually look at discipline as a form of correction and encouragement.
You can, but discipline has to be done with a certain level of so let me tell you something. I never like went off on my kids or something, but they get upset really quick, especially if you catch them in the back of the leg, like, "Pop, hey, what are you doing? Like, wake up, you know?" And they're like, and they get upset. And I'm like, listen, I'd go back to them in the room, like after the comment, I'm like, listen, you have a right to be upset right now. I know you're upset with me right now, but I need to get your attention. What I'm telling you right now, you may not understand, but when you get older, you're going to understand why I'm trying to get your attention with this. I never beat my kids ever, but I definitely a little pop here and there just to get their attention, and they hated it.
Yeah.
I hated it. But you know what?
My son needed every once in a while. It was, not like a beating, but like a good smack around above the head. Boom.
Yeah.
My daughter, on the other hand, she always is like, she was more of the disappointment. All I had to say, you're disappointing me, and she was just like,
and it's like, stick the knife in and
she
twist
was like,
it.
it's disappointment. My son, I'd be like, are you disappointing me? He's like, okay.
My daughter, I would tell my daughter when she was younger, I'm like, Joe, don't run down the hallway, fly in the air, and dig both of your knees into my back when I'm not looking. It's probably not a good thing, and I might spank you if you do that again.
Oh man.
But that's the whole thing. So interesting enough, like the Bible doesn't talk about abuse in these instances. The Bible is using correction physically as an example to tell you
the fear. That one has to do with the fear.
Yeah, you need to have some understanding of there being a line and a boundary in your relationship with others, and that's a clear boundary, obviously. But that's the whole point, because they call it the rod. The Bible calls it the rod of correction for a reason, because things get corrected really fast when you have a fear of the consequence. The problem is nowadays a lot of people in the world don't have a fear of the consequence.
I mean, look at the legal system right now. Look how much crime is going on because you can commit a crime and not be held responsible. You can get out right.
It's like, all right, listen, if I see you tomorrow, it's going to happen again. I'll go smashing and grabbing my house again. All right, and listen, I'm not saying that the world isn't in tough times, but when is the world not in tough times? We're always in a tough time. There's always something going on. There's always a lot getting in there. But now, so what is the importance of uplifting?
Well, in the discipline, like you're talking about, then you have what the Bible teaches. You can't contrast what the Bible teaches. The Bible teaches not to let any corrupt talk come out of your mouth. When you do encourage, the same Proverbs like 18:21 says that the death and life is in the power of the tongue. So it's also in your correction. You have
how you communicate
that correction and discipline.
Yeah, so you can't discipline somebody without taking the time to love on them and to really pour into them of what's happening and to try to give them a proper understanding of that discipline. I don't think there's an area in the Bible, like, for example, behold, how happy is the man whom God reproves, so does not despise the discipline of the Almighty. That's Job chapter 5. 17. To despise the discipline of the Almighty, like, think about just despising the discipline of your parents. You do, but you're going to respect your parents if they communicate with you thoroughly and they say, listen, I don't want to have to discipline you.
Yeah.
But this right here is you're putting me in a bad position. I can't allow you to do this because this will be the consequence. So what consequence would you rather have? Would you rather have the consequence of facing me or the consequence of having irreparable damage to your life?
Yeah.
Keep your hand off the stove. I don't want to tell you again.
Yeah.
It's like, let my child get third-degree burns because I'm worried about hurting their feelings.
Right.
This is exactly what's happening in the world today in a different through a different lens, but that's the question that people are asking right now.
Right.
And when you uplift people, you don't uplift them by giving them the answer. You uplift them by reminding them that they have the potential to find it on their own.
But you also uplift, also showing them that it's the promises of God also that are encouraging.
Well, this is why the worldview is very important. Yeah. There's not much of a worldview in the world that is anywhere Judeo-Christian.
Right. In Isaiah 40, 30, 31, it kind of tells you, like, this is going to happen. It says, though youths grow weary and tired, and vigorous young men stumble badly. Like, that's what happens. You stumble badly.
Yeah.
Yet those who wait on the Lord will gain new strength. They will mount up with wings like eagles. They will run and not get tired. They will walk and not become weary.
They will run Not get weary. That's
Yeah.
my.
Yeah, I mean, but
Yeah.
it tells you, you know what, you're gonna stumble badly.
Absolutely.
You're gonna grow weary and tired.
And I think like seriously, and let's take this for what it is. Majority of men commit majority of the crimes. Why? Because men have more aggression in us. We don't know how to properly use it. We don't know how to properly channel it. And that's why it's important to take notice of what the Bible is saying about that. You said it, what does it say? He'll stumble what?
Badly.
He'll stumble badly. It doesn't
Badly.
Say, he'll stumble badly because
Yeah.
the repercussions of misplaced anger and confusion in a young man is way more irreparable.
Yeah, and it's also young men. You know, we did it too. You tend to follow the desires of your own heart,
Yeah.
which are deceitful and wicked in itself. So
Absolutely.
So that's, I mean, all of Proverbs. If you go through Proverbs, which I would suggest do one a day because
Yes.
it's 31. Do
Proverbs
one a day.
is all like, do not trust it.
Yeah, don't
trust
trust
your-
your own
whatever
desire.
you do.
Yeah, don't do it. But it's funny that interesting that because the next verse I was talking about, it was 1 Corinthians 16:13. It says, "Be on alert, stand firm in the faith, act like men."
Real simple.
Yeah, and he's talking about men here.
No, but that's interesting because you're telling a young man to act like a man, knowing that he's not a man yet. But to act like a man is your first step to being a man.
Yeah, and knowing what that is,
And knowing what the proper definition of a man is.
Yeah.
I love, you see, this rod of correction just keeps popping up everywhere. Okay, Proverbs 29:15. The rod and reproof give wisdom.
Yeah.
But a child who gets his own way brings shame to his mother. Proverbs 13:24.
So, yeah.
Let's go on.
So a child that gets his own way. So
A child who gets his own way.
right?
Because it's not the way of the mother and father or
we're told,
our father.
you know, as we grow, we stop thinking like a child, because a child, like we said,
When I grew up, I put those things
away because you want. It's even like you don't want to share. You don't want to give. You know, you don't want to be. You know, you want to be the winner all the time. You know, and what's happening in our culture is now we're allowing the children to get their own way.
And I think that's very important vocabulary there.
Yeah,
A child's way.
yeah,
What is a child's way versus the parent's way?
right.
If you let the child have his way
Yeah,
and you don't enforce your way,
right.
what way is the child going to grow? The child is going to grow to the way of the child. The child is going to be immature. You're
Right.
going to have a 35-year-old man sleeping on the couch playing video games who can't keep a relationship. And, you know, he's going to go around telling people at 65 years old, yeah, I still live with my mom. You know what I mean? That's not healthy. Like
No.
independence and responsibility is what builds your character.
Yeah.
And it's difficult, yes, but it's necessary. And I'm not saying you can't fall.
But even still, that's why you look at people that are in these situations and children that have been not hit with a rod, you know,
yeah,
but
you could tell.
But I don't think it's going to the extreme hit and run. It's actually doing the correction, because it's as simple as actually correcting and standing firm in that correction, no matter what.
Do you ever see what happens to a child when it doesn't fear its parent?
No, my children fear me, so I've never.
Yeah, I
seen
never had that problem.
I don't know.
You will fear me.
No. And you know what? It's one thing is I don't want my kids to fear me to the point where it's like
That's the kid.
they're not going to talk to you. And
Well, see,
be
but that's
there.
a different type of fear. I'm not
Yeah,
talking about
yeah.
an abusive fear.
Yeah.
I'm talking about a healthy level of
Oh,
fear.
yeah, it's like-
me and my brothers and sisters would be like, oh,
Wait till your dad
don't
gets
let
home.
don't. Oh man, Dad, you're gonna get it.
Yeah, wait till your dad gets home.
You know, like I'm glad it ain't me tonight.
Pleading with your mom, like,
Because
please don't tell Dad.
Because we knew what we were doing was wrong.
Yeah.
It was very clear.
Right.
But my dad also, beyond anything, showed us how much he loved us all the time.
Right.
You know, like he wasn't always perfect, but he
Of
definitely
course,
showed
yeah.
us he loved us all the time.
Yeah.
So back to the rod real quick. I just want to get this
Yeah.
one out. I love this though. So
Go home and beat your kids. No.
this is Proverbs 13:24.
Just joking.
Give him a good whooping. Good night. No. He who withholds his rod hates his son,
Yeah.
but he who loves him disciplines him diligently.
Yeah, and this also is like a picture of God, because it says,
I was getting there.
Yeah,
No,
God disciplines his children.
Yes.
You know, like if you're not being disciplined in a way when you're doing something wrong or have done something wrong and you don't feel the guilt and you don't feel the discipline, then you need to look at your relationship with God.
yeah.
That's a big, because God disciplines his children.
Absolutely. And how does he discipline you? He's introduced the word consequence to your life.
Right.
Every single action that you take is going to have either a benefit or a consequence to it. And every time it has a consequence, not every time, but a majority of the time it has a consequence, we know it has a consequence. With the exception of innocence and children, that's when you don't know too much about consequence. Like, I remember, like, looking at the stairs like, wow, I was just watching. I was a child. I was very young. I was like 5 years old. I said, wow, this is really cool. Like the way in the cartoons they run down the stairs. I'm going to try it.
Yeah.
And I did that. And I hit every step.
Did you ever see that video? That one kid, he puts on the cape.
And he's like,
and he just jumps down the stairs like, boom. And the dad's like,
kid,
don't ever do that again.
Yeah, the one kid's like, I'm the Flash. He goes, how fast are you? Really fast. And he turns around and he stumbles on a rock, bam, and he face plants.
Yeah.
And I laughed, and it was wrong, but it was a funny video. The kid's fine, by the way, everyone. So I love this. Yet the people do not turn back to him who struck them, nor do they seek the Lord of hosts. So it's really funny. It's like I had a hard time understanding it. It's like, yet the people do not turn back to him who struck them, nor do they seek the Lord of hosts. It's like so you go towards the people that abuse you and you ignore the God who loves you.
Yeah.
Well,
you were talking about judgment before too. Like,
yeah.
So, I mean, Jesus brought up in Matthew that, I think it was Matthew 12. He was like, but I tell you that every word that comes out of your mouth will be judged, basically.
Well, that's the thing. Like, people say, like, I don't judge people. Yes, you do. Everybody judges.
You have to.
You have to.
Oh,
you have to judge a situation.
But I tell you, this is Jesus, but I tell you that every careless word that people speak, they shall give an accounting for it in the day of judgment. Every word.
It's like, honey, before anything happens, I'm really sorry about that time. I said your hair looked terrible.
Yeah, it says, for by your words you'll be justified, and by your words you will be condemned.
Yeah, I mean, and this is the problem with what's happening in the world right now. Words do have power. Yeah. Words have tremendous power, and you have to be very careful of how you use them. Listen, people are still going to be offended even if you're giving them truth, honesty, and compassion. If they don't want to hear it, they're going to be offended by it.
Yeah.
Especially,
and it's the way you deliver it too. It's the way you encourage. I mean, we're commanded to, give a defense for our faith. We're commanded to give an answer to those who are asking us questions.
Absolutely.
But we're supposed to do it with gentleness and respect. And at the same time, using your words, what does James say? It's like that small little rudder.
The rudder of a ship.
It guides. Yep. So it's so powerful, That's why there's that one proverb that says even a fool is considered wise when he says nothing at all. And that's basically saying, look, you got to make sure before you say something, or do something. What is that one thing I think of? If I got to think of it, but
the thing.
What's that thing?
It's that thing.
No, but think before you speak, think.
Yes. It's one of those.
It's one of those things, but it helps because you know what? A lot of times when you get into arguments, instead of tearing someone down, because your first instinct is to be like, your first instinct is like,
oh, that's not the way.
I do this, you don't do this. I do this, and you're tearing somebody down rather than going, you know what? Let me just take a minute here.
Yeah.
Let me walk away from this.
I think sometimes I get too careful to the point where I sound like I'm a legal aid.
Yeah.
My wife always tells me, she's like, I'm not in court right now.
Well,
I'm like, I'm just trying to get clarity. She's like, but I'm not in court right now. You don't have to talk to me like that.
She's looking for an apology and you're giving her apologetics.
Yes.
Right.
This is what I do. You knew what you married.
Yeah.
No, but
I just want an apology.
Yeah, but
let's take the long route.
But now, so on the opposite spectrum of that, when we talk about uplifting and building people up, for edification purposes, it almost sound like edumacation.
Yeah. Yeah, no, it's true.
So building people up for that purpose. Now, how do you build people up without selling them a dream? Which is really important. If you say we're called to love people, right? So loving someone has to be based in truth. If you're pouring into someone, you have to pour into them with the understanding, number one, that you're being truthful to them and encourage them to be honest back to you, so you could actually get to a point of understanding with them.
Yeah. I mean, there's that one verse in Hebrews, but exhort one another every day, as long as it is called today, that none of you may be hardened by the deceitfulness of sin.
And that's the whole point in itself right there, because the lies that we tell ourselves and other people to portray an image to are the ones that are the most damaging in the long run if we get used to them.
The picture that I see there is kind of like us as Christians is extending our arms. Now we're all going down this river that's flowing, and we're against the current, right? And if we're not having our arms out and grabbing one another, some of us are being swept away.
Oh yeah,
and going down further. So it helps when you create more of a wall, a chain of more of us that can encourage and uplift and hold one another together.
You see, and that's and I think that's the tricky part of it. I think a lot of times people view Christianity, I mean, honestly, rightfully so, because of the hypocrisies that are found. But on the same note, the hypocrisies that are found are part of why we need to remain in community.
Yeah.
We need to constantly build each other up, remind each other, who we are, what we stand for, and stick together. If you say, oh man, like Gandhi said, I'd be a Christian if it wasn't for Christians. And to some extent, he's right. But that's not the point of what being a Christian means. Yeah. It doesn't mean that you're not going to be a hypocrite in moments. It doesn't mean that you're not going to fail miserably at times. You may fail.
It says
more miserably
you will stumble
than most.
Badly. Yeah.
Yeah.
You will stumble.
You will stumble.
But that's why we're here for each other, because when you're in community, if you stumble and fall, and some people are put to the point where they stumble so much that they have no choice but to look up.
Check out the trailer for everybody for the Jesus Revolution movie. Did you see that? Did I send it to you? I think I sent it to you. You didn't check it out yet.
Yeah.
So it's really interesting. It's based on a true story. It talks about this hippie movement in the 70s where people were really coming to Christ, right? And obviously you watch The Chosen, so you know who Jonathan Rumi is, right? Yeah. So all these kids, they're hippies and they're starting to get to know Jesus and stuff like that, but the churches won't accept them. So who's the guy that played Fletcher? The actor, what's his name?
Fletcher? I don't know. I don't remember.
Oh, it was a great show. He was
I don't remember. I know who you're talking about.
He played Beast in X-Men. What's his name? I've said his name a million times and I can't remember it right now. But anyway, so the movie's called The Jesus Revolution. He plays the pastor, right? So this girl, her dad's the pastor. So she meets this one guy. He's a real big minister to the people, I think, So you knock on the door, you open it up, and it's Jonathan Rumi, the guy who played Jesus in The Chosen. And he's like, wow, man, I love the vibe of this house, man. And it's so funny. I laughed so hard when I saw it. So it's funny because what he says to him is very true. He says, your church is needed. They need your church. These kids are looking to find Jesus, and listen, a lot of the Christians weren't happy with it. So he made a statement in the trailer that I saw that I thought was really good. He says, "Listen, these doors are always open in this church. It doesn't matter to who. If you want to come and you want to, get to know him, you're welcome here." And you see some of the congregation getting up and walking away, and he's like, "Well, I guess the door swings both ways then."
It's about Greg Laurie.
It's about Greg Laurie. Okay,
Greg
yes,
Laurie,
that's his name, Greg Laurie.
Greg Laurie's a great pastor in California. I mean, he does a lot of things. He was like a surfer.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
He was like a surfer, and it happened all down there. Actually, he was taught by who was he taught by? I forget. I gotta look it up. But Greg Laurie, let me look it up.
Yeah, let me tell you.
But it looks pretty good. I was just. It's Jesus Revolution, right?
Yeah, the Jesus Revolution. Yeah.
Yeah, I was just looking at that. Yeah. That's
so now, when we're talking about uplifting, I think a lot of times when it comes to uplifting people and correcting people, I think we really need to have the tough conversations with ourselves. Number one, I'm not saying that people aren't worthy of investments, but what conversations are worthy of your investment? Are we? Don't waste it. Don't cast your pearls among swine. Also, if you're investing time away from your prioritized relationships, make sure it's beneficial for the people that are involved. Because anytime you do ministry work, you take away from your family. you know, and your family for the most part will be supportive for it, you know.
Yeah.
But you can't you can't spread yourself so thin where it becomes destructive as well, you know, because we do have to prioritize these relationships that we were blessed with. But on the same note, we have to keep our hands extended to people that need us. That's what we're here for.
That's what I'm saying. Arms should be out and lifting people, because what does the Bible teaches that, I think it was necessary for a soldier to carry someone's pack for a mile, but Jesus was like, basically, you need to carry it for that extra mile.
Anyway, just cause.
Yeah.
And it's funny because like that's the difficult thing that we all have to do with. So when you're uplifting someone, how do you uplift them so much without making them think that everything they do is gold, that they're going to, and remind them they're going to have to put work into it? Because uplifting is usually more the title to the moment of when encouragement is needed after failure.
Right.
When somebody's having a hard time, you need to encourage them and be like, you know what? It doesn't matter what's going on right now. It doesn't matter how bad you've failed. You've already failed. Now you can continue to move forward. You can go up. And that's one of the things that Jesus was very big on, moving forward and not looking back at your old ways.
Yeah.
And I think that's the motto that we should follow when we come across these moments of failure and these moments of difficulty in life.
Because it's going to happen.
It's definitely going to happen.
We're gonna fail, and we're gonna fail at our encouragement. But what we can do is
that's why we do a lot of shows, because when we messed up 3 times tonight.
Yeah,
but we did it now. That's what matters.
Yeah, but we keep on going.
We're gonna put out a gag reel. That's gonna be hysterical.
Yeah. So I think the most important part of this whole thing in encouragement is also to, like we talked about before, is looking at the promises of God, and sharing those with other people, because that's what is we were talking about equity before.
Yeah.
God has no impartiality. He sees everybody the same way.
Yeah.
So
if he sees us the same way,
it's either one way or another way.
Yeah,
it's either you're in death or you're in life in Christ. So it's either one way or the other, and those are the consequences. That's the only thing that's seen. That's why in that Hebrews it says that in that Hebrews verse, basically, like, there's only that one of those two ways to then encourage one another to keep us away from that.
Yeah, 2 Timothy 4:2. Preach the word, be ready in season and out of season. Reprove, rebuke, exhort with great patience and instruction. So I love that. So it says be ready in season and out of season. Like you're always an ambassador for the kingdom. So it says to reprove, to rebuke people, to exhort. But then immediately after those words are written, it says with great patience and instruction. So of course, the first thing you're going to need is patience.
Yeah.
And the second thing that it says, and instruction. So what you're doing is you're going to correct people, but you have to correct them with patience. You have to correct them with an understanding and an approach of you want to be firm, but you also want to still remain kind in some sense.
Yeah.
And then instruction, and then so you're not only are you rebuking them, but you're giving them an instruction of how they can avoid being rebuked in the future by giving them the proper instruction how to fix it.
Yeah, so I'm going to leave you with this. This is encouragement that Paul gave the Corinthians, and it's for us too. And it says, therefore, we do not lose heart. But though our outer man is decaying, yet our inner man is being renewed day by day. For momentary light affliction is producing for us an eternal weight of glory far beyond all comparison, while we look not at the things which are seen, but at the things that which are not seen. For the things that which are seen are temporal, but the things that which are not seen are eternal.
Can you imagine how radical that was for the time?
Yeah.
They were probably like, huh? Because now you're talking about this invisible kingdom that exists in our realm being possible.
It's spiritual. He says your body is decaying, but your spiritual is growing.
Yeah. So to hold on to these things of now so dearly and not give. And
even for today, because a lot of people think that this is it.
Yeah, like once you die, you die. Yeah? Okay, so what's going to happen to the you part of you when you die?
Yeah, everybody has a soul. So
Yeah, and that's what it all breaks down to. Some of the other ones that I really like are now may the God who gives perseverance and encouragement grant you to be the same mind with one another according to Christ Jesus, Romans 15:5. Why is that important? Especially when you're lifting people up in the community, in the Christian community, to have your mind in one accord should make it a reasonably easier approach to understanding why the person is taking the time to either rebuke, correct, or uplift you to the point where you say, okay, I don't like being rebuked. And I've been rebuked through my church family, and it's not fun.
Yeah.
But you know what? Like you take the moment and you say, all right, I get it. You know,
Yeah.
I kind of deserve that.
But it's also being able to handle that critique and that criticism. It's being able
and
to
don't
handle
fake it. Don't fake it like,
No.
oh, you're right, and then go around and just like not care after that, because you're only hurting yourself. Well, actually, you are hurting the people that invest into you as well.
Yeah, that you should always look, because there's always something that you can change.
Yeah, you could. It's like when you cross the street,
Yeah.
check both ways.
It's always like, I think about it, because kind of when we want to do it our own way, it's like the picture of the account when Peter walked out into the water.
Yeah.
As soon as he started realizing everything around him, he was like, wait a second.
Oh, wait.
Wait a second. He started falling. And it's that moment where Jesus grabs him, and pulls him out. We're called to do the same thing for each other. You
Yeah,
know what I mean?
absolutely. And he stepped out. So you
Yep.
got to give him that good. So
Yeah.
coming back next week, we're going to be talking about wisdom and knowledge.
Knowledge and wisdom.
Knowledge and wisdom.
Yeah.
What is the two, what it be, and what it gonna be. That's it.
That's it.
That's it.
That's about sums it all up.
So we love you guys. We'll see you
Yeah.
next week. Tune in every Wednesday at 8. Don't forget to check
Yeah.
your major platforms for Aletheia Radio's Off the Books.
Yeah. Subscribe, like us,
Yes.
join in on the conversation.
And even if you don't like us anyway.
Yeah. Well, too bad.